All right, welcome back to another episode of Lone Star Diecast Racing. I'm Tommy T, and tonight we're going to talk about the Redline era. What we're going to talk about is just basically some of the stuff that I have displayed here, some of the cars from that era, and we're going to do a little bit of a race tonight with some original Redline era track pieces. So without further ado, let's get started. So what I want to talk about right now is I want to talk about the cars that you see in front of you. And the ones that are more here in the forefront are more of the newer remakes of the Redline era. And then the ones further back are original Redline era cars. I only have a total of 4 because, they are kind of hard to find and, pretty pricey to get at times. But let's get started. So first one here, this is a what they call a Redline Club car. This is a Roger Dodger. I can get a better view of it. There we go. Yeah, it's got the gold, real like metallic-y look like they did back then in the 60s and 70s. So this is a really neat car. It even shows that it even has like the original wheels done on it, and that is a good looking car. I really do like this Roger Dodger. And then the next one is more of a Real Riders version of the split and image. You can see it's got more of the realistic looking wheels with rubber tires. And I don't really run a lot of rubber tires down my tracks because they are a little grippy and they don't roll as fast. Man, look at that blue. That is a beautiful blue. But that is the split and image. And then the next one is another Real Riders that I just picked up recently just for this video. It's got, once again, like the more realistic looking wheels, but kind of has that Redline era pattern on the wheels. But this is the twin engine, another blue car. You see it's got the twin engines there, and the big wide fat tires on the back. As you can see, the rubberized ones. You can kind of see the tread if the camera will zoom. So there's the tread. So these is just me like paying tribute to the Redline era. This one is bifocal. This is another Redline Club car. Has the same wheels as the original Redline era in that metallic silver. Man, that is a good one. And then you can see it's got the window to look at the engines that are inside the hood. And, once again, you can see the bottom is more of a modern take of the car. And then we've got another remake of the Diora, which was a Dodge concept car, which is, really neat. It has the little surfboards on the back. It's got the back here. Nice front there. But it's a really pretty car. Now we're going to move on to the original Redlines, the ones that I do have. And we're going to start off with this white one here, the Chaparral 2G. As you can see, it's missing the fin. This car's over 50 years old, so it's not perfect, but you can see it's still got some of the paint on its wheels, and the back hatch does open up, so you can see the engine. And you can see the back here, and you can see the tailpipes. Here's this side here, and then here's kind of a top view of it. As you can see here, this is where the wing would go. Unfortunately, that is long gone through the test of time. But still a unique car. It's really cool. It actually rolls pretty good. I don't really race these because these are, pretty much antiques. And then we've got this one here. This was my first one that I picked up. I actually got it in a lot. Actually, the white one and this one I got in a lot of old Hot Wheels. And I got probably well over 100 cars in that lot. And these two red lines were in it. And I really didn't pay a whole lot for them. So I guess it's one of those situations a person didn't know what they had. And I didn't know what they had until I got it home when I started looking through them and I realized this was a red line. And this one is called the Indy Eagle. It's still got most of its paint. There were some decals on it at one time, but once again, these aren't perfect. These are over 50 years old. So, if you can see it right there, if it zooms, there you go. Indy Eagle. And rolls relatively decent. It runs straight. It's not a perfect car by any means, but it's an original red line, and it's really neat to have in my collection. So let's move on to the next one. I just picked this one up along with this one this past weekend. And this one is, you read it again, Turbo Fire. And this one is in relatively good shape. You can see that it's got like that real shiny chrome green. And it's got the red lines on the wheels. Still has most of the paint on its wheels. A lot of these, they usually missing a lot of paint, and they're all chipped up because they've been played with. But this one, for some reason, I guess this one hasn't been used as much. So the back hatch doesn't open real easy. You have to kind of force it open, but I'm not going to try to do that because this car is in relatively good shape. So I'm just going to leave it alone and enjoy looking at it and, taking it out every once in a while and just give it a roll. And last but not least, we're going to go with the Mustang Boss Hoss, which is my favorite one. This was also an original red line that I picked up this past weekend. It's supposed to have a number 5 on the door and 2 black stripes on the roof. But I think they got wore off over a period of time. As you can see, the chrome is actually worn off on one of the wheels. But the red line is still there. And you see the engine block, it's a little corroded looking, but for 50 plus years old, it's not going to be perfect. But the paint is majority still on there. I mean, it's amazing how well this one was well kept. But this is the Mustang Boss Hoss. And this one I think came out in 70, if I remember correctly. And as you can see, if you see the glare right here on the roof, you can kind of tell where the 2 stripes used to be. But that is a really, really nice car. And I was really lucky to pick this one up this past weekend from a toy dealer. So now, going further along with what you see in the background, you can see right over here is the 2-story Supercharger House. Then next to it is the lap counter. And then to this side over here, as you can see, there's a speedometer still in the box. It's been open, so it's used, but it works. And then the single-story Supercharger House. And by the way, those 2 Supercharger houses actually work. It took me a little bit to get them working. I had to clean the contacts a little bit, and I noticed that the batteries that we use today are a little bit shorter than the D-size batteries from back then, because they were still batteries in these things, and they were ancient, and luckily it didn't corrode the contacts too much. But I was able to get them up and running and working, and I set them up with a track, and they worked really good. And then the what you see, the tower behind us, is the Hot Wheels tune-up tower, which still has the tool, which is amazing because you can actually use that tool to straighten out the axles on these original red lines. So I've used it to straighten out the wheels on some of these cars so they run straighter. But this tune-up tower was a luck of the draw. I found it on eBay for a relatively good price with the tool. It's really hard to find that tool with that tower. And when I got it, it didn't work. But once again, it was one of those situations where well, maybe clean it up a little bit and see what happens, and I got it to work. So the elevator does go up and down, and the treadmill does work where you can put the car in the treadmill and you can run the car and it'll tell you how fast it goes, and if it moves side by side, letting you know if it needs the wheel straightening and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want to really mess with it too much because it is pretty old, and it is quite noisy when you move the elevator up and down, and it just, the gears in that thing are, plastic, so they probably will eventually wear out from time to time, but it does work. It's really a nice piece to have in my Hot Wheels collection. So moving on, we got these pieces right here, which is the 2-lane car dropper and the clamp that goes underneath it to clamp it to a piece of furniture or a little device that you can build for it, like I did for my set that I'm going to demonstrate tonight. And then the original finish line that you see right here, which is just really just a mechanical thing. It's just a piece of plastic, and you just push one lever and the flag will just kind of like droop over to the lane 2 or lane 1, however. And that's, the simplicity of, this stuff is what really has intrigued me, because, a lot of this stuff was not really battery powered until, these supercharger houses came along, and that was pretty much it. It was battery powered or gravity powered. And the one thing I don't have in my Redline collection is the rod runners. There's a single lane and a double lane where they're elastic bands that, when you push down the hammer, the rubber bands stretch out, and then when the cars go through them, they launch them and they fly. And I thought that was a really neat piece, but finding a good one in good shape and complete is kind of hard to find, and quite possibly, pretty pricey. So I haven't really picked one of those up lately. But the recent thing I picked up, especially the speedometer that you see right there, well, I got its big brother, which is the dual speedometer, which I have laid out on my track that I'm going to demonstrate tonight. I'm using all original Redline era track and pieces. But with the cars that I'm going to race tonight are going to be kind of like a tribute to the Redline era. They have the same kind of paint job where it's that chromatic, polished looking paint, just like the red lines you see here. But before we get further into that, I wanted to showcase a couple of cars that kind of show how the original red lines came in package back in the late 60s and early 70s. So here is my snake car, which is the drag car. So this is not an exact model of the card that you see here. It's more of a remake, but this is real similar to how they were packaged back then. You get this little button right here that comes with it, along with the car, and that's how they usually packaged them. And so you can collect the little button along with the car, and I'd noticed that you see a lot of these buttons floating around out there somewhere when you're digging through, totes of toys at flea markets and stuff like that. But unfortunately, the cars are pretty much long gone. But I still see some of these little buttons or tokens or pins, whatever you want to call them, floating around. And the only other one that I got that's in this package is the Diora, and it's a really nice piece. These I probably won't open because they're just kind of a tribute to the Redline era, which I just think is neat. And it's got the surfboards on the back. And like I said, it's just a real close replica of what you would pick up back in 68 through the 70s. So those are pretty neat. Next up are the cars that I'm going to race tonight. I've got a total of 6 cars. I'm going to run them down the track. They're going to run through a speedometer so you can see the speed of how fast they go down this little track that I built. And there's going to be a finish line so you can see which one takes place. But this is not going to be a traditional race video like I normally do, racing for the trophy and then, going back to the shop and all that kind of stuff when I do in my other videos. This is more of me paying tribute to the early years of Hot Wheels. Because I wasn't born at that time. I was born in '82, so I was pretty far past that era when I came along. But I was a very big fan of Hot Wheels as a little boy, and I didn't know a lot about the Redline era until I became more of an adult, and I started seeing stuff like this out at the flea markets, on TV, other YouTube channels that showcase a lot of this stuff, and I was just real fascinated by it, and I wanted to collect some of this stuff because I thought it would just be really neat to have some stuff from the past that my parents grew up with, especially like my dad. He had a lot of stuff like this. He had the original Tonka trucks and stuff that were just well made, and most of this stuff is American made. You don't get a lot of that anymore. Everything is made overseas now. And even though some of the Redline cars from that era were made in Hong Kong, and some of those are probably the best cars you can get. Even Hong Kong cars were even made all the way up into the 80s. Then maybe some in the 90s, but I don't remember seeing a lot of that in the 90s. I saw a lot of them that were made in Malaysia. But anyway, getting on to the video with the cars that I'm going to race, we'll start off with the 67 Camaro, which they did make a Redline version of this car. So this car is one that has the hood that opens up. I don't know if you can. I guess you can't see it. We'll have to open it up to show you that the hood opens and stuff like that. But I'll crack them when we get to the racetrack and run them down around the track. But it's got that really cool like lime green look to it. It's even got the little stripe on the front, little lightning bolt type scallop on the side with the exhaust pipes coming out behind the front wheel. It's such a good car. That's a really nice car. And next up is a 65 Corvette, more of a, I don't know, I guess you could say a purplish pink kind of color. It's a convertible. And as you can tell, they've got red lines on them, but they're not the red line wheels. So these are just going to be paying tribute to the Redline era, because I'm not going to race my original cars, and these are some really nice cars that they roll okay, but I just don't want to run them because they're more collectible purposes. But there is the 65 Corvette. And then up next is the 1971 Plymouth GTX in more of like a bronze orange kind of color. It may look a little different the way my camera's picking it up, but man, that is just a neat looking car. It's real long. It's got that big square nose on it, and it's also got the Redline wheels on it as well. And let's see, we got a 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner, also in that purplish metallic pink kind of color. Just depends on how you view it through your phone. It may come up, or phone or laptop, whatever, however you're watching this. But it's it's a real faint kind of like purple color. And once again, it's also got the Redline wheels on it. And see, it's kind of, if you look at the cards, they kind of have that same look as the ones that I showed you previously. And this is just these are just tribute cars, and some of these models that I'm showing you weren't even made in that era. So they took later renditions of these cars and made them red lines for new lines and new runs that they were making at the time. So moving on, we've got another Corvette, but this is a 63 Corvette split window hardtop in a blue. This one doesn't have the red lines on it, but it does have the lettering on it like they would back in the day, like those white letter tires, which I am a big fan of because I have an old Ford pickup that I've been restoring, and I put some white letter Cooper Cobra tires on it and made that truck look so much better with some white letters. So I'm a big fan of white letter tires. So this is going to be another one that we're going to run down the track tonight. All right, next up is a 1965 GTO. And this one is kind of like an orange color. It may look yellow, but it you know, and this, there you go. See the light there? Kind of has that orange look to it. Camera would focus. There we go. And this one also has the red line wheels on it. But see, it's got the more modern day type 5-spoke wheels, which I think are cool. I think it's going to look pretty good on these cars. But as you can tell, some these cards on these cars are pretty wore out. They got a little bit of water damage, so I'm not really concerned about opening these, because some guys will be like, oh, those are worth some money. I really don't worry about that. I'm really more interested in playing with these things and making videos for you guys to watch and enjoy. So let's go to the track, and I'll show you what I set up for tonight's video for the little mini race that we're going to do to pay tribute to the good old days of the Redline Hot Wheels. So let's head to the track. Alright, before we get started, I just kind of wanted to show you what the second camera is going to be focusing on. This is the dual lane speedometer set. What it will do is it'll see the little needles go up and down when the cars pass through, so it shows you what mile per hour they go. And we've also got a little old school finish line. This is all original Redline era stuff. So let's get to the top of the track and let's run some cars. Alright, here we are at the track. This will be our first race for the tribute to the Redline era. We've got the 63 Corvette split window in lane 1, and we've got the 65 Corvette convertible in lane 2. So let's roll them. Ooh, very nice. That was a good run right there. Well, the second camera will be picking up the speeds when they run through the speedometer house. So let's rack up another set of cars and run them again and see what kind of speeds we can get off these. Alright, here we go with another set of cars. Lane 1 is the 65 Pontiac GTO. Lane 2 is the 71 Plymouth GTX. Let's drop them and see them. Oh, wow. GTX took the GTO. Alright, here for our third race, we've got the 67 Camaro in lane 1 and the 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner lane 2. Let's let them rip down the track and let's see what we can pick up. Ooh, Camaro wins. Man, the other car had a little bit of a wiggle. Okie dokie. Well, here we are. Gonna run the split window Vet against the 67 Camaro and see what kind of numbers we can get off this race. Ooh, the Vet took the Camaro. Well, the other winner out of the 3 races that we did is the Plymouth GTX, so it looks like the Plymouth GTX will be racing the split window Corvette. Well, the final race of the evening. We now have the split window Corvette and the Plymouth GTX. Corvette lane 1, GTX lane 2. Let's drop them and see what kind of numbers we get. And the Vet takes it overall. Well, the Corvette is our winner tonight. Well, the 63 Corvette, because we had two Corvettes run tonight. So the blue one takes the Redline trophy for tonight. All right, let's go back to the table and let's set up the cars and look through them one more time outside of the case. Well, all right, we're back at the table, and I guess we'll take a look at the cars one more time, this time outside of the cards, so you guys can get a better view of what we just raced. So with the winner, I guess we'll show the 63 Corvette in the blue. But there she is in all her glory. Look at those white letters. Those are so cool. This gives this car more of a realistic look. Yeah, there might be some smudges and fingerprints because this is like a really shiny paint job. But man, that's a good looking Corvette. Look at that split window. These are some rare cars. Not the Hot Wheel, but the actual car itself. Finding a split window, man, if you find one and for a good price, grab it because these cars are worth some money. Man, love that blue. All right, second place is the 71 Plymouth GTX. This one has the Redline wheels. We can get it to zoom in. There we go. See that bad boy in all its glory. And you can see, now you can see more of the orange now that it's out of the case. With the black roof and the nice little black stripe going across the hood. Man, just a beautiful car. And it's got a real nice shiny bottom to it. They made these cars really well. These were some really nice Redline tributes, in my opinion. Some of these were just well made. I've got some more of these loose, but I only wanted to run 6 cars tonight because I didn't want to make this video like super long. So let's move on to the third place winner, which is the 67 Camaro. And there we go. We got the hood to pop open. There's that nice engine. This is the only one that has the hood that opens up that I have. So this is a really nice little piece. You got the moving hood pieces and all that kind of stuff. But look at the lightning bolt scallop on the side. Man, that is just so neat. And then the wraparound. You close your hood. Then you got the wraparound stripe across the front of the car. If we can get it to zoom on there, you can see that it says Camaro. Come on. Well, maybe it doesn't want to. But you can see there's some white lettering right there. It says Camaro. And then it says Camaro SS right here on the side. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful car. All right. Next car, which is fourth place, is the Plymouth Roadrunner. The old 440. And this one's got now you can see we could bend it at an angle. Maybe it's more of a plum crazy purple kind of look with that, really metallic finish that they put on these cars. Maybe, yeah, it does have a kind of plum color to it. So we'll just call it plum crazy purple. I mean, it is Mopar, so we'll just stick with it. You see it's got the 440 on the hood, so man, gorgeous car. Like I said, they really did a good job on making these cars. Yeah, I wonder what year these were made. Let me look at the back of the card and I can give you guys some information on that. Sometimes they put like a year on there and then they come out the following year. So it says 2004 on here, so they may have came out in 2005 because I've noticed that with some cars, like with some of the recent cars, they'll say 2020 on the back, and then I'll have a badge on the front saying new for 2021. But that is just here nor there. I could get my facts wrong because this is collecting Hot Wheels is kind of more of a new thing for me now that that I'm an adult, because I collected when I was a kid and then sold off my stuff, and I collected here and there in my early 20s, and then now I'm in my late 30s getting back into collecting Hot Wheels again. So I could get my facts wrong. You guys can correct me if you want. I'm not going to be offended by it, because good criticism is always good, because it helped me learn something new. So yeah, if you guys have anything you want to say or add to the channel or anything like that, just leave some comments. Let me know. I'll be more than happy to take some of y'all's suggestions and chat with y'all. So let's get on to the 5th place car. This is the 65 Pontiac GTO. This is like that orange, man. Just reminds me of like orange soda. It looks gold on the camera, but with the naked eye, it looks more of an orange color. But man, just looking at that kind of makes me thirsty. It's got the nice little white double stripes. It's got the hood scoop. Love the front end on these GTOs. I always love the double stack lights. It's such a good looking car. It kind of has like a Cadillac feel to it. I mean, basically that's what Pontiac was a higher division above Chevrolet and in between Cadillac. So these were some really well produced cars back in the 60s. I am quite of a Pontiac fan myself, because I do have a 94 Pontiac Trans Am that I have sitting in the garage. So I've dug Pontiac stuff for years. I always thought they were really neat. So there we go. You can see there's more. You can see the red lines on the wheels. Again, it's got a nice little shiny bottom. These are really cool. Metal on metal. These things roll really good when they have some weight to them. With the plastic die-cast hybrid ones, you might get lucky and get some really good ones that roll down the track pretty quick. But I've had a lot of luck with these metal on metals. And last but not least, number 6 is the 65 Corvette. Once again, it's kind of got that plum purple to it. For it being a GM car, I guess they wanted to be part of the Mopar group, I guess, because they wanted that plum crazy purple. But yeah, well, you get it in another light, it kind of has a magenta, like, I don't know, dark pink. Can't really get a hold on that, especially with the camera. Yeah, it's tough, but see, it's got the nice little white interior. Such a cool car. Also, metal on metal. All 6 of these cars were metal on metal bottoms. So, there you have it. The Redline Tribute cars. They were Hot Wheel Classics is what they call them, but I personally think they're just more of a tribute to the Redline era. That's the reason why they made these, was to kind of bring back the old school look. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys hanging around and watching me fool around with some Hot Wheels tonight. Hopefully the camera picked up some good speeds and times, or not times, but speeds, so you guys could see how fast these things go. It's not a very big ramp, so these cars don't roll very, very fast like my 6-lane mega ramp that I've got. But I will be setting that up here pretty soon, and we'll be doing a Christmas video. And it's going to be the 12 cars of Christmas. That'll probably be, I don't know, since we're December 7th. I guess probably closer to Christmas. I'll try to release that one maybe right around Christmas Eve, so you guys have something to watch on the holiday. Some of you kids that, aren't in school and want something to do, come by and watch my channel. I'm going to have some more interesting stuff as the time goes on and as this channel grows. Probably my next video after this one will probably be another review video on a really cool track that I picked up. But I won't go into any details with that, because I want it to be more of a surprise, so you guys were more interested in coming by and checking out the channel and seeing what else I have up my sleeve. So I guess just remember, stay fast, stay cool. This is your boy Tommy T. Y'all have a good night.